I had just had another conversation in the afternoon, a phone conversation from someone who was simply going through some places in life. And he said to me on the phone, "How do we know where God came from?" And I said, "We don't. We don't have a clue." "Then how do we know there is a God?" I said, "We don't. We don't have a clue." And he said, "You're not helping me." And I said, "Well, what do you want me to tell you?" It was another out-of-state call from a perplexed gentleman. I said, "What do you want me to tell you?" "I want you to tell me how you know there's a God." And I said, "I don't." "You don't know there's a God?" I said, "No. No, for all I know, it could be a great myth, and we could all be in a huge jar, and the stars that we see could actually be little holes poked in the lid of a giant mason jar, and we could all actually be just this big to some monstrous being somewhere, for all I know. But I know this, after a few thousand years of man's development on earth, you have to believe in something. You have to have a reason for why you live like you do. You have to have a reason for the way you treat other people. You have to have a reason to be moral or immoral. And you can believe in a lot of things. Everybody believes in something. Some people believe in nothing, no God. They believe it all happened just by nature and accident. Some people believe in Muhammad as the great prophet of Allah. Some people believe in Hinduism and Shintoism, and you just name 5 or 6 religions. But around the world, there's a handful of beliefs that everybody tends to lean toward. And they have to have their reasons for it, and God bless them. And I have no idea what's going to happen to all of it at the end. I just know that for me, it is so easy for me to say, here's a 3,500-year-old book. This book was written 3,500 years ago. It transcends all the other books. It has actual prophecies in it for 1,500 years that were all fulfilled 2,000 years ago in one man. And those prophets were not kin to each other and not connected and didn't get to read the other book first and then write theirs. They wrote as they were apparently inspired of God. And 2,000 years ago, a man came fulfilling fantastic things that nobody should have ever predicted. Who in his right mind would ever sit down trying to convince a bunch of people that he's right and he's a heretic and say, he'll be born of a virgin woman? And then a woman come along a long time later and claim to have never known a man and yet be pregnant with a child. He was predicted by prophets who could have been mocked and made fun of, and probably were in their day, that he would have all kinds of power, that he would be able to heal the sick and raise the dead. Oh yeah, sure. And that ought to disqualify you as a prophet because you made an unbelievable exaggeration about somebody. And yet Christ came. And he called Lazarus, who was already 4 days dead, from the grave. Perhaps just to prove he had power over death, hell, and the grave. And so 2,000 years ago, a handful of men, primarily Paul, John, Peter, but we got the Gospels as well. A handful of men wrote how this individual lived and behaved. And they weren't trying to connect all the dots, they were just writing. And then you realize they made all the dots of this man connect with 1,500 years of prophecy. And for me, there's no other book in the world like this one. It has been proven in the old 3,500 years, 1,500 years in the existence, and 2,000 years ago, all those prophecies fulfilled in him. Man, that just makes it pretty hard to get past. I don't know if any of it's true. I simply choose to believe in that.